Welcome to Season 2 of the Let's Talk podcast hosted by WellHouse Church, where we talk about what it's like to be a Christian Monday through Saturday, to be a person of faith in a culture against faith. All right, so let's talk about how the church can help relieve disaster, hard times at a macro level. So, Cullen, you just had some very strong feelings.
Yeah, I'm interested to know what you have in mind for this, because I don't think they can. Nor am I convinced. Nor am I convinced that the institution of the church should.
Okay, so typically we talk about this off camera, but I actually want to talk about this on camera right now. What the voice that I want from you moving forward is the current pastor and career pastor.
Yeah.
That is going to get a law degree.
Yeah.
I know I know you got some stuff going on up there.
Yeah.
So that's the voice I want you to have in this.
Okay.
But first, I do think that we should establish and say, according to the Supreme Court, the church and the state are separate.
Yep. Well, actually, that's not written anywhere.
No?
No, it's not written anywhere. It was in a letter sometime. There's actually no bearing on that. But the way that it's kind of instituted is that lobbying isn't allowed by 501c3 nonprofits. Mm-hmm. And so you can't cross them like that, right, because that's how you get voice from private industry into politics. So that would be like if we were going to have a standard conversation. That's what I want to preface it with. The second thing I want to say is because the American church is all about power, we have found a loophole in this, and we're not allowed to call it lobbying, and so we don't.
But it is.
We call it advocacy.
Yeah.
And the Southern Baptist Convention has all kinds of advocacy groups.
Sure.
That are lobbyists.
Catholic, and the Catholic Church has advocacy groups.
Yeah.
That are very vehemently pro-life. Well,
the Christian Life Coalition is an advocacy group of the Southern Baptists.
Yeah.
Just a lobbying group.
Yeah.
That's all they are. We just call it something different because it's a loophole. But technically, nonprofits cannot lobby. And that's how everybody always points to like the foothold of church and state. But technically, separation of church and state is not actually written in the Constitution anywhere.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, our dollar bill says, "In God we trust."
I mean, yeah.
Nah, it was in a letter one time.
But that was written by deists. So
no, it's true. It's true.
But, okay. So the way that I will encourage this language, 501c3, nonprofits can't lobby. And so it's like, yes, separation of church and state. But I will break it down and say at a very basic level, the church is the people that make it up.
Yeah.
Each individual makes the church. The church's involvement happens in your vote.
Yes. So, yeah, go ahead.
It matters in your vote. So I don't want to talk about politics, right? This is not a political podcast.
Well, it's a macro conversation, so it's gonna happen.
Correct. I want to rehash some old things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Like, first and foremost, you don't build theology around politics. You build politics around theology. That's the ethical way to do this.
Yeah.
This is the I hate this language, but I don't know another way to word it. This is the Christian thing to do. This is the Jesus thing to do.
Yeah. So it's the thing that Jesus did.
Yeah.
Right. Jesus was constantly battling the political powers because their system did not meet his theology.
Correct. You build politics around theology.
You should, anyway.
Yeah. So do that and then vote accordingly. I'm not going to tell you how you should vote.
Well, but to be fair, everybody does that. Everybody does that.
I'm not sure I agree.
If you asked everyone that voted MAGA that was a white evangelical, they would tell you they were doing God's work when they cast that vote.
Oh, for sure. But that's justification.
But I genuinely believe that they genuinely believe that. I really think they believe that is their, like, God wants them to vote that way.
I think I agree with you.
Okay.
I think it happens differently. If we have to, this is a social issue.
Okay.
Right? Because it's encompassing multiple areas here.
Yeah.
So this is now a social issue. And if you take it at like a big overarching idea, looking at it, Cullen, what is the white man's favorite thing?
Power, money, and sex.
How do I get that?
Power and money.
How do I get power? I mean, yes, cyclical system. I understand.
Yeah.
But
this system is designed for the white man to thrive.
Exactly. Yeah. So white American evangelicals will pursue power, money, and sex by stepping on other people.
Oppression.
So now I have to build a theology that makes oppression okay.
Correct. Yeah.
And then politics fuels how I oppress people. Right?
Yes, which is why most of this always ends up voting Republicans, because Republicans only care about money.
Yeah, so, but we're not talking about political.
Yeah. Well, we're just talking about macro. I mean, that's just true.
And it works in the opposite way too.
Yeah.
Right? You can make the Bible say whatever you want it to say.
Yeah,
we talk about that all the time.
Yeah. There are. We have whole series on this podcast about Christians and politics.
Yeah. So I think that the other way, like on the more far left side, there is still motivation in voting to make a worldview that I want to see better. So I make the Bible say the worldview that I want.
Yeah.
You know, just if we want to call it one big thing, that's what's happening.
Well, everybody does that. Everybody cherry picks verses.
Sure.
I mean, it's just inevitable. We're always going to do that because everybody wants, whether we want to admit it or not, everybody wants the Bible on our side.
Yeah.
And so, nobody approaches the Bible objectively. That's just nonsense. We should just stop saying we're doing that. Everybody approaches every text with some level of bias.
Sure.
That's why when we read certain books or certain texts, even outside of the scriptures, that like certain parts of the story are highlighted for certain people.
Right.
Certain parts are memorable over others. So everybody approaches it and wants it on their side.
Yeah.
And so we always cherry pick it, for sure.
Yeah. And so we all cherry pick, but what we need to do is make sure it is based on a Jesus thing first. Right?
Yeah.
However you want to see that Jesus thing.
Yeah.
But
that's what I would also caution people towards is I want you to do the Jesus thing.
Yeah.
I want you to read the Jesus thing. I don't want you to read the Paul thing talking about Jesus. I don't want you to read the Old Testament and people's weird ways that we've read back into it that Jesus was back there. Jesus was back there, but God's the only one thinking about a Jesus option. Yeah. Ain't nobody else understanding that. Every time they open their mouth, they're all thinking that it's some like person in their lifetime going to do these things. Yeah. Like nobody's thinking about it except God. So I want you to go read Jesus and think about what Jesus thinks.
Yeah. WWJD.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So build your politics around that.
Yeah.
And then vote accordingly, right?
Which, shout out, this is going to come out probably tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Until the end of the week, you have early voting. Mm-hmm. And then November 8th.
Yep, we are in an election season. In Texas, at least.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. It's a mess. But vote according to your Jesus thing. That's the church's involvement.
Well, so the church does have another involvement.
In advocacy.
No, not just in that. You said it earlier. The church is the people.
Right.
And so all of these political offices have to be held by people.
Oh, heard. Yeah, so that's a different conversation we need to have. We're talking about macro right now, so yeah, we have never had a non-Christian president or non-identifying Christian president, and only one Catholic.
But they never get voted in.
Mm-hmm.
It will happen. It is increasingly more likely going to happen.
Kennedy was Catholic.
Yeah,
but he was the only one.
Yeah.
All Protestant, mostly white evangelicalism.
All colonizers.
Moving forward.
I'm sorry. I had to go. I mean,
we are moving forward. This is an unbiased podcast.
Yeah. There's no such thing.
No, there's not. That was the point of the air quotes.
Yeah, there's no such thing. But I do think we should note that all these offices have to be held by people. And to be fair, you said Kennedy was Catholic. All the rest of them identified as Protestant
in some way.
I would never shame somebody's faith, but there's a reason that Jesus says you'll know them by their fruit. Maybe I can look at some things here. Nixon, Clinton, need I go down the list? 45? Yeah.
46.
Oh, yeah.
Because Trump was the 45th, Biden's the 46th.
Well, I was talking about 45.
You were.
Yeah. Just about people that I question their faith. It's wait, is that just an identity for a vote? That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is people who deeply embody this faith, this walk with Jesus, imitate Jesus style of life, and bring that to politics in their office. Yep. Asking the question, if Jesus sat in this seat, what would Jesus sign? What would Jesus sign into office? I think if we got some of that, I think the world will be a different place, right? Because right now, those offices are represented if I can be honest, by people I don't think really do it that well. At least the loudest voices in those spaces.
Yeah.
And so what it ends up doing, if we're talking about Christians at a macro level and Christians in policy, and it gives Christians a macro bad name.
Mm-hmm.
We are not liked.
No. we are not, and that's actually a hint forward. The next series we're gonna do, just a little. This is for free, little teaser. Is we're gonna do some Google prediction texts, and I've started with, why are Christians? The thing I saw the most of was so hateful.
Why are Christians so hateful?
And also followed up with, why are Christians so hated?
So this is my point, is Christians are not well represented at the macro level because of these buffoons we have in politics that are representing us. Like, I'm sorry, and I'll go ahead and call this because he's my senator. I'm allowed to talk mess about my people.
Sure.
Ted Cruz and his affiliation with Houston's First is nonsense. Mm-hmm. Nonsense. It is only for power and money that are in those spaces. No, I want somebody who actually embodies their faith.
Yeah.
If we did, the Google prediction might not be why are Christians so hated and why are Christians so hateful. It might be why are Christians so beloved and why are Christians so loving.
Yeah.
Like, if we were doing it right, that's what it should be.
Yes.
And it's not.
It's not. It never has been.
I would like to think there was a time where it was.
Not in America's history.
Oh, no, definitely not in America's history because, colonization.
Yeah. Because of colonization.
No, I just want to own it. Like, we are a part of that.
Yeah.
We are a part of that. We are.
sure.
Yeah, we got to own it. That was not good. We did not do that well. I read a book recently by Richard Twiss about the way in which Native Americans were colonized and the way he looks at the Jesus story and goes, this fits our native religion, but because we literally banged powwow drums and danced and smoked or drank peyote, like, y'all did not let us. Y'all told us we could not do that. And so, we need to own the ways we messed up. And yeah, we absolutely did. And that's why I always say colonizer.
Yeah. Yes. This is the system that we have. And I think no matter what side of this you're coming from, you're going to agree that nobody is really doing this. Like, at a big level, it's always, what is my end goal?
Yeah.
And you might use theology to support that.
Yeah.
But you're not doing this from the Jesus thing point.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with you. We need to get more people, more asses in important chairs that are living out their faith.
Yeah, I think so.
We also need those same people to go and click ballots.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Go vote.
And vote from the Jesus thing.
Yeah.
Genuinely, ask yourself, what would Jesus do? Because even though, like, you may not have the power to hold the pin that makes the thing happen.
Yeah.
Your vote puts those people there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think, if we're going to have this conversation, we should just be real blunt. I mean, the thing that dominates the Republican voice for the Jesus thing is being pro-life.
Yeah.
Like, that agenda is the thing that is that. And that's definitely I think that that's probably in connection with what God would have in an ideal world, for sure. But if you were going to be very real, the Democratic side also has things that represent Jesus things, like prison reform.
Yeah.
Liberating the captives. That's a Jesus thing.
Caring for the immigrants.
Yeah, having better immigration laws and a concern there, and caring for them, not just being more strict on how they come in. That's a democratic value. Expanded welfare.
Caring for the widow and the orphan.
That's a Jesus thing. Yeah, that's all of those. Like you can find Jesus in either side if you want to.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I think these people that vote these ways, I don't know if maybe they really believe that or no. I think they probably do really believe that. Yeah, I think but definitely vote. You have to vote. Voting is very important. It's very easy.
It's pretty. If you live in an area,
well, if you live in Houston, it might be a little bit rougher to navigate because like some of you are going to go to NRG and some of those things. But in a lot of places, it's very easy. And in Houston, you got 99 things you got to click on.
Mm-hmm.
Over here in Chambers County, we did not have that. We only had 22 or something.
Oh, nice.
But there was also 2.5 pages of offices that ran unopposed.
Yeah.
That's not true in Houston.
Right.
So, yeah, it's the same stuff. But
yeah, voting is a thing that you should do. And
for sure.
If I can let each individual person walk away with something from this series, if our end goal is to care for the individual by one-on-one conversation, help,
yeah,
and meeting that at a community level, if that is our goal, cool. Is that Jesus' goals? Is that what Jesus did? That's the Jesus thing. Caring for people. That, in this conversation of disaster, caring for people.
Yeah.
That is the goal.
Yeah.
And that's the Jesus thing. How do you want to vote?
Thanks for listening to the Let's Talk podcast hosted by WellHouse Church. Be sure to give us a rating and a review if you enjoyed the episode. It's free and it helps us immensely. Also, feel free to check out our other podcasts.